All right, folks, good morning.
Good morning.
How's it going?
Good.
All right. Okay, good. Well, I'd like to welcome you to the very last coffee hour of 2019. And we are very honored to be on the campus of Sound Transit and have them as our presenters. My name is Lenny Orloff, and I am with Age Friendly Seattle, which is part of the City of Seattle, Aging and Disability Services Human Services Department. Something that I always mention is that as part of Age Friendly, we're trying to make the city a better place to grow up and grow old. Age Friendly is an aspiration. We know this city has a ways to go before we are quote unquote age friendly, and we're doing it in a variety of ways. There's 8 different domains of livability. We have those handouts available for you to check out. One thing that we know is that social isolation is a big issue, and this is why we continue to do coffee hours. And we also have a discount program called the Gold Card for Healthy Aging. So if you are, or if you know somebody who is over 60, that's the only qualification that's needed. I have the discount cards here, and I'm happy to issue one to you at the end of the program. So, Age Friendly Coffee Hour has been around for maybe 15 years at least. And we are entering a new era where we're here today at Sound Transit, but starting in January and for the remainder of 2020, we're going to be at Seattle Public Library, and the one that's right downtown. You'll get more information about that, but it is going to be on the 4th floor, and it's accessible. We'll have a different start time. I don't want to take away from the time of our guests today, but it is going to be a later start time of 10:30. So, without further ado, I just want to say that we're lucky to have you every single month. So we hope that you will transition with us to this new location, and do let us know how, what the event is like for you. We have these feedback forms on your chairs with a pen that you're welcome to keep. Let us know what you think. So today our presenters are Donna Smith, Manager of Accessible Services. Is that the correct title? Okay. And then and Alex Coe, who is a Customer Outreach Specialist here at Sound Transit. I'm going to hand the microphone over to Alex, or actually he's already got one, and this one is going to be the audience mic. Thank you all.
All right. Thank you so much, Lenny. Very happy to see all of you here today. Thank you so much for coming and making time in your busy schedules for this presentation. So, as Lenny said, I'm Alex Coe, Customer Outreach Specialist with Sound Transit, and I'm here to talk with you today about a project that we're calling Connect 2020, which is linking the east side to light rail. So, there it goes. Okay, so some of you may know that we have light rail service that currently runs from Angle Lake up through downtown Seattle up to University of Washington. In 2021, we'll be expanding that up to Northgate and including stations at Roosevelt and the University District. But we're here talking today about a project that will be happening in 2020 in anticipation of the Blue Line, or East Link, opening to the east side in 2023. So that will include 10 stations with 14 miles of track running across I-90 through Mercer Island and Bellevue out to Redmond. To connect this to our existing line, we recognized that we needed to do substantial work in the International District Station. One of the options that we considered was completely closing light rail service for 8 weeks to do this tie-in construction work. But we recognized in thinking through that wouldn't be acceptable for our 80,000 daily customers. And so we worked with our operations and construction team to come up with a different plan which will maximize service during a challenging construction environment. So for the first 10 weeks of 2020, that's January through mid-March, we'll be running single track service, which means trains will only be running on one side of the tracks from Westlake to International District Station, or SODO Station. To illustrate what this looks like, we have a little animation that I'm hoping will play. Oh, but I have this information up here first. So, because we'll be only running single track service, we'll be running trains every 12 minutes, and all trains will terminate at Pioneer Square Station. So riders coming from the north, from places like UW or Capitol Hill, will need to transfer across a center platform at Pioneer Square Station, as well as riders coming from the south. And we will also have 3 weekend closures of all downtown Seattle stations. We had 2 closures this fall that you might have seen if you were out on those weekends, with bus shuttles, free bus shuttles connecting riders between SODO and Capitol Hill stations, as well as each station in between. And then to illustrate what this looks like, well, this is an image of the temporary center platform at Pioneer Square Station. So it'll be in the middle, and trains will come in on one side, are on both sides at Pioneer Square Station, and riders will going beyond Pioneer Square Station will transfer across this temporary center platform. Also, if you have any questions at any time, feel free to indicate that, and someone will bring a mic.
Yeah, how is this working?
Yes.
How will this recent with the vote, the funding, the CARTAP vote affect all this, the scheduling and the construction and the plan?
So I wouldn't want to speculate on the impacts that it will have. We have our board meeting on November 21st with presentations from staff, and at that time we'll be getting clearer direction on what that means for all of our projects. So I can't say at this time, it would be too early to say.
But there's a lawsuit against it. It may not happen then.
There is a lawsuit, yes.
People win the lawsuit so we can keep the trains going faster?
I wouldn't want to speculate on whether or not the lawsuit will be successful.
Yes, it will be, because Tim Eyman always puts too many subjects in one referendum. They're only supposed to have one subject. And this is the same thing over again, so it's going to win.
Okay. Any other questions before I move on? All right, here is the animation. So, as you can see, these stations in red are closed, and so riders will board the trains will cross over the tracks, continue to serve each station on the opposite side of the tracks. Then the trains will meet at Pioneer Square Station. Riders will transfer across that temporary center platform, and the trains will return the same way that they came. So riders coming from the south will transfer across the platform and continue on the other side of the tracks to get to their destination if they're going beyond Pioneer Square in the other direction.
Can you suggest that when you're talking about this, you narrate as much as you can for people who can't see it? Because we have sight impaired people.
Sure.
So they can't see any of that.
Sure. I can run it again and try to talk through it a little bit better. Okay, so what we have are closed stations with trains coming in from both the north and the south. They cross over a crossover track and continue to serve each station along the route. And then the trains will meet at Pioneer Square Station. Riders going beyond Pioneer Square Station will transfer across a temporary center platform, and the trains will return the same way they came. So if you're going from Soto, you'll ride up to Pioneer Square Station, transfer across the temporary center platform at Pioneer Square, and continue on your journey whether you're going to Westlake, Capitol Hill, or University of Washington Station. And then, so that's the first 5 weeks of Connect 2020, and the second 5 weeks is the same thing, but on the opposite sides of the track. So trains coming in will continue on the side of the tracks that they started on. They will still serve each station. The trains will meet at Pioneer Square Station. Riders will cross that temporary center platform, and then the trains will return the way that they came.
So question.
Yes.
Well, in terms of capacity, will there be the same number of trains or fewer?
So we'll be running trains every 12 minutes, which represents about, well, and we'll be running all 4-car trains. So right now, the trains are a mix of 2- and 3-car trains, but it will represent a decrease in capacity of about 25% during peak hours, commuting hours, and about a 12% increase in off-peak hours. Okay, so the 3 weekend closures that I mentioned. So the first of those is going to start on January 4th, and it'll be January 4th and 5th. And then we'll have a second, and that will be to start this work. The second closure, tentatively scheduled for February 8th and 9th, will be to switch the side of the tracks that they're doing work on. So as you may have noticed in those animations, the side of the tracks that were being worked on switched at the midway point. And then the third weekend closure, tentatively scheduled for March 14th and 15th, will be when they wrap up all of this and trains go back to regular service. So this next slide is our bus shuttle map, and it's indicating that all stations between Soto and Capitol Hill will be closed for these 3 weekend closures, and that a bus shuttle will be running to each of those stations during this time. So if you're going from the airport up to Westlake, you get on the light rail at the airport, ride up to Soto, transfer to a bus at Soto, and then take that bus up to Westlake. So a few notes about riders with bicycles. So if you can imagine 2 crush load capacity trains meeting at Pioneer Square Station, and upwards of 800 people from each train disembarking onto that center platform, and then you add people with mobility devices and bicycles, you can imagine that it's going to be very busy. So in order to maintain safety and sufficient space for folks with luggage or mobility devices, we are going to be restricting bicycles at Pioneer Square Station during Connect 2020 for the full 10-week period. And so that means that bicycle riders will be asked to disembark at University Street Station and International District Station and continue their journey from there, and no riders will be allowed into Pioneer Square Station for this 10-week period. We are working with other agencies like Seattle Department of Transportation to ensure that there's safe bike access to the 2nd Avenue bike lane for folks that are traveling beyond these stations. And so they just finished a bike lane right up here that you can see after this that connects International District Station to the 2nd Avenue bike lane. So we're very excited about that. Okay, I'm going to go into our communications plan a bit. So our communications plan is multifaceted, and we have a number of ways that we're going to be getting this information out. So we're starting on a large campaign next week to push this information out through lots of different channels, both our own online Rider Alert channels as well as advertising channels to make sure that as many people as possible see this. We're also working with many different agency and community partners like Aging Seattle and being here today to make sure that as many people as possible know about this change to service. And really a lot of these are pushing to our dedicated website, soundtransit.org/connect2020, and there you'll find all the information you need for understanding what your trip will look like and how to prepare. In addition to that, if people don't see any of this information and just arrive at stations, we'll have a number of different tactics that will help them along the way. And I'll go into one of these and then I'll pass things over to Donna for the rest. So our signage plan, we're changing our signs during this 10-week period, and the goal is to keep it simple, to make messages that are clear, easy to read, and give you a quick understanding of what is needed. They're focusing on circulation, making sure that people are able to get through the stations and continue to move in the direction that they want. We also have these priority boarding signs that are making sure that our vertical conveyance, like elevators, are reserved for people that need them, such as folks with mobility devices or other reasons that they might need elevators. And so we're also going to be very flexible with this plan and make changes on the fly. And the first 2 weekend closures that we just had were very helpful for that. So with that, I will pass things over to Donna. There's this. There's the microphone. And the podium is to your right, but to...
Good morning, everyone. Give me just a minute here, if you would. Can't hold everything. All right, so thank you for being here and for working through this information that we're providing on Connect 2020. It's a lot for us to wrap our heads around, and we work with it every day. So we want to give you the opportunity to know as much about this as possible so you can prepare for your trips coming up in January to March of next year. I want to make just a real short announcement before I jump off into my slides because I'll forget otherwise. I am the manager of accessible services, and my cards, my business cards, are on the table with all the handout material, so please grab one on your way out. One of the things that I do at Sound Transit is to oversee the Citizens Accessibility Advisory Committee, or the CAAC. And this is a group of folks who advise Sound Transit on how to make our system better for and more welcoming to people with disabilities, older adults, people of diverse backgrounds, anything that helps to make this better for the riders, because that's our purpose for being here in the first place. And we have 3 seats open on this committee. So if you are interested at all in serving on our committee, please, again, pick up one of my cards, shoot me an email, give me a call, and we can talk about the details so you know what this committee does and if it's a good fit for you. But we are recruiting, so please keep that in mind. Or if you know someone who's interested, let them know. All right, does this slide say accessible features? Am I on the-
Yeah.
Accessible, all right, awesome. So Alex mentioned that we are going to be having priority boarding signs at our elevators, as well as on the trains themselves with regard to priority seating. So these are several of the features that are going to be available. We'll have elevators and escalators for you, as well as stairs. So whatever means from getting to one level to the other works best for you is what we ask you to take. Again, there will be signage at elevators that encourages people to allow priority use of those elevators for people who are older adults, people using some type of mobility device, a walker, a chair, parents with children in strollers. And so we're asking people, if you can take the escalator or the stairs, to please do that and leave the elevators available to the people who need them. You may be familiar, if you use our system already, with the yellow warning strip that runs along the edge of the platform. It's about 2 feet wide, and it has little dome-shaped bumps on it, so it's both visual and tactile. You may also have heard our safety announcements that say things like, please wait behind the yellow line. And that's there to help keep you a safe distance away from the moving trains. So those will still be in place. They're also on the new center temporary platform, so it will be safe as well. And so we wanted you to know that would be there. Alex already talked about our signage plan, so we will have visual signs up that are intended to give clear, concise information about what's going on and where you need to go. We will also have audio announcements as well. So if you're, again, familiar with our system, you know that we make announcements in the station, and we can make announcements in the vehicles on the train. And so those audio announcements will be available, again, to help let you know what's coming up, where you are, and any type of safety information you may need to know while you're out and about. Also on the train, we have a button available that you can push and talk to the train operator. So, unlike on the bus where the operator's right there and you can just talk to him, you have to use this emergency talk system in order to be able to reach the operator of the train. But that's what it's there for. It's there so that you can ask questions. You can say, I'm about to get off at the next station and I need a little more time to get off. Those kinds of things, whatever you need to communicate, that's what that button is available for. It's a red button. I believe it says emergency talk to operator. And there are 8 of them in every car on the train. So look for those, just whether you need them or not, just make sure you know where they are. And then if you do need assistance, you'll know that you can press that and actually talk to a real live person and get some help. So all of the things that I just mentioned are accessible features that are part of our system all the time. And I just wanted to assure you that they're still available through this temporary single tracking process that we're going through in January and March and February. January, February, March. So the thing that will be added that's different are our ST ambassadors. Have any of you ever seen our ambassadors out before?
I think so.
Yeah. So if there's large events like a football game or something different that we're doing, say we've changed some routes on our buses or trains, those kinds of things, we ask our staff to volunteer to go out and help people navigate whatever is different. So this is actually the largest ambassador request in our history. And we actually asked all staff, we have around 1,100 people, all staff to give us a half day, 5 half-day shifts, so 20 hours worth of work as ambassadors out helping with this single tracking period. The role of the ambassadors is to answer your questions and to provide wayfinding to help you get to where you need to go. So if you find yourself in a station and you think, wow, I usually use this platform, but it's all closed, you know, you're not quite sure where to go or what to do, or if you've reached Pioneer Square and are curious about that center platform piece and how to cross over and where that's going to take you, you can stop any one of our ambassadors and ask them these kinds of questions, and that's what they're there to do. They're there to help all of our riders make this transition as easily as possible. We also have security staff, and they're going to be there with the primary focus on safety and crowd control. So one of the safety concerns that we look at is how many people need to be on a platform at one time. And so there will be some control in terms of how many people we let down to the platform so that it's not overcrowded to the point that it's no longer safe. So know that they are there to assist as you need them to, and their primary focus there again is for safety and crowd control. In addition, this isn't on the slide, but in addition, at every station we're going to have a rail qualified personnel available. So this is someone who knows all about our train system, who understands the stations and the tunnels and how all that works together. They know what's required for security and safety, and they'll be available in case anything comes up that needs their particular expertise as well. Right, so in addition to our ambassadors and security staff, there are two other programs here locally that may be of use to you through this process. One is a transit instruction program, and I'm going to put up the contact information for this in just a second, but let me tell you about it first. So transit instructors, have any of you used the transit instruction program that King County has? Anybody? No? Okay. So it's a great program, and it is partially funded by Sound Transit as well, so they help folks who want to use our system too. But this is a program that's available to older adults and to people with disabilities who want to learn how to use public transit. And they either work with you one-to-one, or they can work with you in small groups. So maybe you've been thinking, you know, I really would like to ride transit more. Maybe I'd like to go somewhere I haven't been before. Maybe you're, after seeing the first part of the presentation, you're thinking, wow, can I really navigate that? And so transit instructors can be there to help you do this. On the other side of the equation, we also have orientation and mobility instructors. So if you do have a vision disability, you can get some assistance from O&M instructors who are located at the Seattle Lighthouse for the Blind. We've been working with both groups to keep them aware of what it is that we're doing, and to invite them to reach out to the people that they have worked with in the past to give them information about Connect 2020 and how to navigate using just one side of the train station at a time. So this is some information about the travel instruction, the transit instruction program. It is sponsored by King County, part of the King County Metro program. Again, it's supported by Sound Transit. And they can reach out to you, or you can reach out to them and ask for some assistance. If you just want someone to go with you for that first trip through our Connect 2020 process, just to make sure that you're familiar with it, they can do that for you. So Michael Ferguson, Michael, can you stand up or raise your hand? So Michael is the manager of the Transit Instruction Program, and he is here and happy to answer questions or chat with you after the presentation is over, and share more information with you about that. And this is his contact information as well. All right, so just to kind of sum this up, our customer service program is available to you. You can call them between 7 a.m. and 7 p.m. And their number is 888-889-6368. Again, they're available from 7 a.m. to 7 p.m. Or you can reach them via the 711 relay service as well. So if you have questions during that time frame each day, you can call and ask for directions or clarifications, anything that you may have questions about. This next number, if you do use transit regularly, I recommend that you put this one in your phone. This is the Sound Transit Security number, and that is 206-398-5268. They are available 24/7, and so you can call or text them if you have questions, if you have concerns. So if you see something you think needs to be reported, you can call or text them about it. If you're feeling unsafe or you're feeling stranded at one of our stations and need some assistance and can't find help, you can always reach out to this number at security and get a response, because they man that all the time. And then we also have a translation line that you can call so that you can speak in your native language. And that number is 800-823-9230. So I hope you found some of this information helpful. And do we have any questions?
Question. Question. Does the Sound Transit Security cover Seattle Metro buses as well, or do they have their own security system?
They have their own security. So the security we're talking about today are part of our rail security system.
I don't have as much a question as a comment.
When you talked about the audio announcements, older people have trouble when young people talk very, very fast, and we don't sometimes get the announcements. So if you could make sure that they talk clearly and maybe a little slower when they record the announcements.
Thank you for that comment, and I will make sure that that gets back to our team that actually is our customer service team that oversees the announcements and works with the team that does that. So I will make sure they get that feedback to speak clearly and more slowly so that they're better understood. Thank you. Anything else?
Yes, so basically you're telling us that part of the rail line will be closed January and February, right?
Correct. So half of it. So we've got tracks on both sides, right? One goes north, one goes south. And in order to get the work done, we have to close one side in order to get the work done. So we're going to start out closing one side, which means that then both the north and southbound trains will run on the same tracks, at least through the international districts, the downtown transit tunnel stations, which is International District, University Street Station, Pioneer Square, and Westlake. So through those stations, they're going to be using just a single track for both the north and southbound. So that's why we have to slow them down. We can't run them every 6 minutes. We have to run them every 12 minutes so that we can get both sides through on one track. It's also why we have that center platform at Pioneer Square, so that if you do want to continue on, if you're going north and you want to continue north, we're going to wait for both north and southbound trains to come into Pioneer Square. If you're exiting at Pioneer Square, you get off on the side platform per usual and leave the station. If you're going on at Pioneer Square, then the doors are going to open on the center side of the trains, and you can exit onto that temporary platform and cross over and get on the train continue on in the other direction. So it's a little different. It's a little hard to wrap your head around, but once you go through it once, you'll get a clearer picture of what this looks like.
And also the next station to be opened then that they're working on is by April, the Bellevue Transit Station will be open.
No, I wish that was the case. I live in Bellevue, but that's not going to happen
So
that
is it the
quickly.
fall maybe?
Yes, so the East Line train track that's going to go up through Bellevue to Redmond will open in 2023. But in order to make that work, we have to do this tie-in with the tracks to the existing. Because if you come in from Bellevue and you want to go to the airport, you're going to have to transfer trains once you get to International District Station. And so we're doing this work to tie that track into the existing track. And so then it's still going to be, though, 2023 before that East Line is open for business.
And how about Federal Way? Is that 5 or 6 years away, Federal Way?
I don't, Alex, do you know the date? 2024 is when that line will be open. Any other questions? Comments?
So I do have a question. One of the reasons why I actually voted for Sound Transit is because there was a promise in the plan to create a parking lot or something in the Skyway area on Going Access Road over there. And so, but I have not seen anything that it looks like they cleared and there's parking, but it's not connected to the train. So I was wondering if there's an update or a new plan, or is a parking lot still in the works?
Yeah, so as a part of Sound Transit 3, there's a plan for what we call an infill station, so adding a station to an existing line at Boeing Access Road, and that's currently planned for 2030, along with an infill station at Graham Street in the Rainier Valley.
What about to go to Tacoma? Any project to connect Tacoma with Seattle?
So the question was about connecting Tacoma to Seattle. So we currently run heavy rail called the Sounder from Tacoma and Lakewood up to Seattle and back down, and that has, I believe, 9 trips a day. Those are mostly during commuting hours, though we did add a midday train a year or two ago, which is providing more of that access. But there are plans, and planning is currently underway to connect Tacoma via light rail to Seattle. The project is called the Tacoma Dome Link Extension, and they're currently looking at where stations are going to be sited and where that line is going to run, with the goal of opening that line to connect to the Federal Way extension, which somebody asked about earlier, by 2030.
Hi, this is just a comment. I had the good fortune to be in Melbourne, Australia just recently. They have an incredible tram system. And there was a section on the main southbound transit out of the city where you literally had to get off, and then there was busing to maybe 10 minutes away to another station because of instructions, and the ambassadors made all the difference. So as a visitor to the city, I mean, it was incredible for people getting off the bus, where to go, and almost ambassadors lined up to show you where to catch various buses, maybe 3 or 4 to get you to your right spot. So the ambassadors were great.
Okay, well, thank you so much, and I think, as Donna mentioned, we're planning on the biggest ever ambassador push with 5,000 shifts, I think, for people to be out during those 10 weeks. And we definitely heard loud and clear during the 2 fall weekend closures we had that ambassadors were a key part of riders feeling confident about their experience. Any other questions or comments? Okay, well, thank you so much. I guess I'll bring Lenny back up here to close things out.
All right, well, thank you both for this information. I unfortunately was in and out, and I missed pretty much all of Donna's presentation. So, but that's okay, because this was carried live on Facebook. For those of you friends who can't make it here every month, we do welcome their participation online if they have access. Something to mention, and then once this is over, we will put the recording with subtitles up on our YouTube channel. So if you subscribe to our YouTube channel, you'll know when that's posted. And that if you just search for Aging King County on YouTube, will come up, and we would love to have you as part of our virtual community. So I mentioned that next month, or rather next month, there is no coffee hour because it's December and it's holidays. But in January, we're going to resume our third Thursday of the month at the library in downtown Seattle. So as part of that new partnership, we will, it's still the third Thursday of every month, but it's going to start at 10:30. And our first presenter is actually going to be from the Seattle Public Library. She's here. Her name is Nancy Sloat. She is the older adult librarian. It's a new position. It's very exciting that the library has embraced the age-friendly way. We're super excited about that. And so please come and learn what the library is doing for people who are older in this city. One part of this transformation is we realize not everybody can come even to the library, even though that's going to be an amazing space for us, I'm sure. So the plan is for us to work with community centers, senior centers, and other community organizations that can offer a culturally appropriate way for these presentations to happen. This is great for people to get together, have coffee, but also to learn about how government works, how organizations like Sound Transit operate and change the way we live. So we really want to bring it to more of Seattle, and that's why we're hoping to either have them streaming it live, like a couple of people are doing today, or show a recording later to a group of people. So stay tuned. More on that. We're gonna work on making these a quality broadcasts, maybe like TV. But for now, if you have any questions for me about age-friendly Seattle, I'm happy to take those. The interpreters are here for another half an hour at least. And if you have questions you'd like to ask our presenters before it's 11, also please do so. And like I mentioned, I do have gold cards for Healthy Aging. If you don't already have one and you're over 60, please come see me. And since there's no event next month, I hope you enjoy your winter holidays, and we'll see you on the third Thursday of January. Thank you all for coming.